Okay, so we're going to start on this episode with where we left off on the last one, which was the story that, well, actually, Marcy Denton was interviewing Colleen, who is an Alzheimer's patient.
Yeah.
And how are you related to that story?
Well, my name is Brescia Taylor. People call me Bree. I am the founder of Infrasculpt, which is what you see behind you there, which is red light for body contouring and wellness. But to touch on that story, Colleen, the lady that you interviewed, was actually the sister of my client. And so her sister had gotten a lot of results, and I had been talking to her about you and about the Let's course and light therapy and just the more things that it does. And she said, "Do you think it would help Alzheimer's?" And I had remembered that Marcy had done a research study a long time ago. And I said, "I don't really know. It's kind of out of my scope, but
Right.
I'll send you to her." And so she called Marcy, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and it's a fabulous story, and it was our episode of 11 of season number 1 on photobiomodulation. So in case you're just jumping in right now, that's the backstory. And okay, so we have photobiomodulation, which is light therapy. And in the picture in the background, this is someone having an infrasculpt session with photobiomodulation. And Bree, as she mentioned, or Brescia Taylor, is the founder of Infrasculpt. So tell us more about Infrasculpt, because obviously in Infrasculpt you're using light therapy.
Yes. So Infrasculpt, I came up with the name firstly because it's infrared sculpt body sculpting, so body contouring. And initially, when I started this business back in January 2017, I only really knew a lot about the infrared sauna, whole body vibration machine. So I had done that for many, many years, and I knew it was great. So I knew about wavelengths, I knew about vibration, and all of that. But then when I started learning about red light, there was a company in New York that was doing body contouring for it. And I thought, oh, I can't, that's not really me. I can't really tell people to lose weight. That's just not who I am. But then I started learning about all the health benefits of red light. So I thought, okay, if I can create a program that is all 3 steps with the sauna, excuse me, the vibration machine and the light all together and make it more about wellness and less about body image,
Right.
then I think I could stand behind this, comfortably.
So how did you figure out that would actually work?
I think there was people, not as many back in 2017 doing this, but there were people doing red light with the 2 different nanometers, red light and near infrared, for body contouring. And they were doing whole body vibration right after. That was something you had to do to stimulate the lymphatic system right away. But nobody was putting the sauna in there. So I kind of pioneered putting the infrared sauna into that 3 steps. And I believe still to this day, it's a big part of our process and why we're so successful in our program. But with the red light, I was more about, learning all of, well, really, I don't even know if I learned as much as I did from my clients once I started it. It was a little bit out of necessity, start a business, make some money. I know these kinds of things, you know what I
Right.
mean? And I'm passionate about helping women, and let's start this. And originally I was actually called California Body Sculpt.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I mean, it was a big business, and we did really well right away, and the success stories just kept coming and coming. And so it's interesting because usually in a business things evolve, which yes, my business has evolved in a lot of ways, but the program and the system has stayed the same.
Well, so do you remember, like in the very beginning, like how did you know it worked?
How did I know it worked? Well, I read studies,
Right.
obviously. I did my research, and then results. So we tried it on ourselves first because we got our laser before we opened, and we were losing inches. I have my photos from my first 12
Oh, no.
sessions. Yeah.
Okay.
And girls that worked for me, my mom, like different age groups I was trying it on. And then we opened in San Diego in a kind of wealthy area, La Jolla. We had a small little, in a medical office, small little office space with 2 treatment rooms. And we actually started with the pad system, the wrapping system,
Okay.
not to be confused with the Inlight system,
Or other pad-based
other
system,
pad-based system.
or either,
Yeah.
any of them. Right.
It was for body sculpting pad-based system.
Okay.
And it kept breaking because when you wrap the body like that, there's no cooling system. So it's constantly shutting down. So in order to get the amount of output you need for the results that you need, the bars are really the best because there's fans in them.
Okay, so just move your head back a little bit so
Mhm.
they can see that this is a person with what you're calling bars.
We call them diode bars. Yeah.
Okay, and they look like, they hook together. And why did you put them where you have on that woman right there?
So when it comes to body contouring, we have different areas on our body that we want to work on. Generally, abdomen and love handle area and inner upper thighs, outer thighs is the most common that women want to treat. And we do have a lot of success, especially with abdomen mostly. And I'd say probably 85% of my clients like abdomen to be treated.
Yeah.
So we place them there. The good thing about light though, is as you can see in the picture right there, see how it's red all around. So it's not just where the bars are. So it actually, I've treated someone's abdomen and their thighs shrunk.
Yeah.
Because light goes in and out of the body, right? So where it's needed, I say.
Yeah, it's systemic. It's the benefits going. I've had a lot of clients, whether it was with infrasculpt bars or with a pad-based system or whatever, you might be working on their shoulder for pain and the big toe stops hurting. So it's a systemic, event.
Definitely. It's a cellular level for sure. So I've seen it do amazing things for people over the years, but the bars I've stuck with, people have said, oh, they're a cheaper version, or oh, they're this or they're that. But I can assure you, with the thousands and thousands of clients that I've seen personally,
right,
it's not. It works, and they don't burn. They were allowed to think about a stronger output coming in, like energy, as far as electricity goes, right? So you're just able to get more output because you're cooling down the lights.
Because of the fans in the bars.
Exactly.
Okay, so this whole series that I'm doing with the Let's Keep It Light podcast right now in photobiomodulation, I intended to already jump on other things of the light, anything that helps us keep it light in life. But right now there's just so much to talk about in photobiomodulation. So I know, for those of you all that may not know this, I ended up opening an infrasculpt salon out of my relationship with Bree and our educational program, and I needed to understand what made this different than the pad-based system I was using, and we use them both now.
Yeah.
But I'm fond of telling my clients, and I like your response on this, that when they come in the first time and I show them, what we're going to do with the 3 steps. First, they're going to have their the bars placed on areas that they want to reduce. Then they're getting on the vibration plate. Then they're going to go into the far infrared sauna. But I'm fond of saying, this is not magic. This is not liposuction. Nothing against liposuction. I'm not an expert in that, so I can't really speak to it. But liposuction, they're going to cut you, suck the fat out. This isn't that. It's not cold laser. We're not freezing or killing the fat cells.
Right.
So it's a slower process, retraining the body to do its own work naturally. You want to speak more to that? Because of the release of nitric oxide, the increased circulation, the getting more oxygen, all kinds of things are happening. I know you're using targeted wavelengths and all of that for
fat cells
and toning, tightening. But what else do you see? Because you've done, like you said, thousands, and your clinic is packed to the gills always. What else have you seen with photobiomodulation and this whole process that you've designed.
So first, I just want to circle back to what you were saying about liposuction and cool sculpting, because we get compared to that. And I do have clients that come in and are a bit scared and they think, oh my gosh, but
Right.
this is completely non-invasive. And it's actually, you can feel good about doing it for your body. It's healthy, right?
Yeah.
Because it is light. But with those methods, there is a place for everything. So I don't
Right.
want to badmouth,
Yep.
any of
Right.
those things. Everyone is entitled to do the research and decide what works for them.
Absolutely.
And especially if someone who's had like a major 100 to 150-pound weight loss, they do need to have surgery to get the skin.
Yeah.
We do skin tightening. So I have had clients, actually one of our locations in San Diego, it was her, she came to me she did 24 sessions for her legs because she'd lost 100 pounds and her skin tightened right up. So I can't even say that you can't do it for that.
Right.
You can. So, but when you destroy your fat cell, you need your fat cells. They're really important.
Right.
They filter toxins out of your body. They protect your organs. For women, they control our menstrual cycles. So there's a lot with fat cells. So we are keeping them intact.
Wait, hold on a second. Did you hear that, ladies? You actually need, and some men, you need your fat cells. When the great source of all light was creating our bodies, he didn't go, hey, here's some fat cells. You don't really need them.
You need them.
You need them. They have a purpose.
They do. Yeah.
Continue.
We don't like them sometimes, but we do
don't like
need them.
to be popped up.
Yeah, we want to just shrink them. So that's what we do.
Right.
We empty them. But toxins are also stored in your fat cells.
Yeah.
So we're emptying toxins out of the body. And I always joke with my clients and say, you could be doing everything right. Because a lot of people are.
I know.
Diet, exercise, everything. Even if they're balancing their hormones and doing all those things, they still can't help driving behind a bus. That's how I say it.
That's right.
Right.
That's
And the food we consume has a lot of toxins in it and chemicals. So, that's just the way it is. So
Right.
it's important.
And I like to tell
In it and chemicals. So, that's just the way it is. So
right.
it's important.
And I like to tell my clients that the body's the most brilliant computer ever. This is a Hannah Kroger quote. Given the proper information or encouragement, the body will heal itself. And light is what every cell and every living organism needs light to function properly.
Exactly.
So that's why I call it retraining. We're literally retraining the body. But the other thing is, because the body's so brilliant, when those toxins come into the body's like, dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
invader, what do we do? Oh, well, get it.
We gotta do something with it.
Now what should we do? You gotta store it somewhere
Yeah.
until it comes out. So it stores it in the fat cells. So if you're going to be able to, detoxify and the body doesn't have to do that process, then the body doesn't have to do that process.
Exactly. And it's okay to want to look and feel better. So I think there's a lot of shame attached to, especially for women, about doing something for your body other than diet and exercise.
Right.
Right. But what's so great about InfraSculpt is that our program is that it is healthy and you're doing something great for your body. Like these things, light, we're so depleted in everything that we have in the world, with
Right.
pollution and everything that's going on. So for us, we do need to replace those things somehow. And so we're fortunate that we have the technology that we have red light and, vibration machines and saunas and those things and cold plunges for people who like that to really optimize our health and feel really good about doing it.
Right. And what I notice with my clients is that we're flooding their body with light. So that's literally raising the vibration of their body. I like to talk about energy as above this imaginary line, where above the line is things of the light. Well, I've noticed, and I know you have, and the other people who have salons, the more sessions they do, the higher they're raising their frequency, the more they're craving other things in the light that are good for them. So now they're just naturally eating better, or drinking more water, or finally learning pickleball.
Mhm.
Right. I'm only slightly prejudiced on the
Right.
pickleball.
Oh my goodness.
Or doing yoga, or what, all
Yes.
those other silly sports, but anyway.
All those other silly ways to work out.
But it seems like it becomes easier to do the things that make them feel better because they've been flooded with so much light, and they're just more attracted to things in the light.
The biggest thing that I notice, the first thing I notice, and I tell my clients, because you lose inches right away.
Yeah.
So when you come in, we do your measurements and photos because photos, are important because we want to see the results. Of course, we want to see our
Right.
progress, right?
Right.
It's motivating. And then we put them on the lights, take them off the lights. We can do the measurements again right away. And usually there's like at least an inch or two lost, sometimes more,
Yeah,
depending on
depends
the
how
person.
big they are.
And depends on how, what's going on in their body. We don't
Right.
know, right? Until they come in.
Right.
So, but I always tell them inflammation. Inflammation is the first thing you're going to notice. And I have a ton of clients that
But
just
the reduction of it.
reduction. Yeah.
Right.
Sorry. Then they
Mhm.
feel less swollen,
Yeah.
right away. So, and pain, the pain management aspect of what we do is so huge as
Yeah,
well.
let's talk all about that.
Yeah.
Because our first 11 episodes really have been really focused around human physiology and using this for circulatory issues and pain and all of that. There's so many wellness benefits. And I know that in most of the salons, the InfraSculpt salons around the country, what gets people in the door is the body
Bodies.
contouring.
Yeah.
But what keeps them coming back is
Is the pain and the inflammation and the all just feeling great.
yeah,
Yeah, I always joke that body contouring is my sort of trick to get them in there.
Right.
Because everyone will come for the way they look.
right.
And they won't necessarily delve into the way that they feel, or they may not even know that they don't feel that great
That's right.
until they feel better.
Right.
They've just been operating in this state of, pain and achy and just tired and feeling icky, and they just maintain that and they think that that's normal. But then they come to us and they're like, wow, and my particular store, we have a pretty strong membership, and I had to come up with a membership because people just want to stay.
Yeah.
So we start out with 12 sessions. That is standard enough to see results for people coming once a week. It's usually, due to schedule, but I do encourage people, if they can come more, based on availability for them,
Right.
just because you'll see faster results and you'll start to feel better quicker, more light, better.
Right.
Right.
And so at some point along the way, I know I did it and then you did it. We also added to the session. So let's back up again so people can see that this is a human being with a head, and she's getting the body contouring with the InfraSculpt. But we both started adding a pad-based system while the person's on the table for
Yep.
the body contouring. And so there's plenty parts of her body that don't have pads on right now. So do you want to speak to why did you do that? I know why I did it, but why did you start using
The pads.
the pads on the body also?
So the pad-based system for me made sense because, in the light therapy course, your course, we learned about the parasympathetic nerve and all the nerve endings being in the spine. And when we do light, having to flip the client over, that's usually if someone wants back of thighs, but most of my clients just do the stomach and the inner upper thighs. But I really wanted to hit the spine, but you can't lay on the bars.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Because the fans will burn out. So I'm like, okay, well, how are we going to do this? The pad-based system just made so much sense. We could just do so much more for the client. So we don't charge anymore.
Right.
We're just trying to flood the body with light. So for most of my clients, depending on if they have a certain specific issue where they want the pads, where they need the pads for
Right.
pain or something, I just do the neck and the spine down to the tailbone and for the parasympathetic nerve, and then I do the jaw and I put the face mask. And I have a lot of clients with the face mask, especially wrinkles going down, people telling them they look younger, and that's just once a week. So but putting them in that relaxed state. I had a client recently, it was her second treatment, and I come into the room after and take all the bars off and take the face mask off, which is also a benefit to make them check out for 15 minutes, which most of us don't do. We're always on our phones. So I take the face mask off her and she goes, "Oh, I get it now. You sell happiness." And I was
Oh,
like,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome. I
So,
love that.
yeah.
Yeah, I had one of, people ask me a lot of times, well, about other benefits or whatever, which I love to talk about. My doctorate's in energy medicine, and then that's if, in case this first episode you're hearing us. And what is energy medicine? Basically, the natural healing arts using some intervention like photobiomodulation, vibration plates, biofeedback, herbs, blah, blah, blah. The natural healing arts using an intervention. And so one of the things, so I'm always paying attention to what's happening in the energy field. And I'm fond of saying, well, I'm in Boulder, Colorado, so we can talk energy in Boulder, right? But I'm paying attention because I see that a lot of our clients, they come in and they're very depressed or low energy or not a lot of light coming out from them.
Yeah.
And they might be the most sweetest, wonderful person in the world, but they're low. Their lights are low.
Yeah.
They leave the first time and they're glowing. Well, we just loaded their cells with light, and we looked at before and afters on a dark field microscope of the blood cells. So I can tell you that the cells get plump, full of light and all of that. But anyway, this one particular story that just impressed me, I'll never forget this young woman. It was her second session that she was coming in for. It was a Saturday morning. And she stood in the doorway and she said, when I came here the first time, my anxiety was up here, and she pointed to the ceiling. And now it's down here. And I said, well, that's fantastic. And she said, and I had this negative, persistent thought that never went away. It played 24/7 and it's gone. And I said, oh, that's great. And she goes, Ginger, I'm telling you, I'm not saying it's better. I'm telling you, it's completely gone.
Yeah.
Imagine having a thought that never goes away. That is like, you're fat, you're ugly, you're whatever. I don't know. She didn't tell me what it was.
Yeah.
But it was gone. I mean,
it's amazing.
These are the things that, these are in the South. I'm born and raised in the South. We would call in New Orleans, we would call it lagniappe, a little extra for nothing. So there's so many benefits like that. So tell me a couple of other stories
for days.
I know you have
But I mean, I think from like more of a superficial level, scarring, that's a big one. Even personally, I have a C-section scar that's gone from light. And then I had a male client actually, who had an appendix scar from when he was little, had his appendix out, and it was gone after 3 treatments.
That's crazy good. I love it.
I have a client also who we got rid of all her stretch marks.
Yep.
I've seen it do that. And then recently finished a client who was getting married, and she had to take her dress in 2 sizes. Yeah. So there's those kinds
Not a problem.
Right, exactly. And there's those kinds of stories. And then there's the, just the day-to-day clients that I have had that have been with me for years that come once a week. And if they don't come, like, let's say they go on vacation or something, or they miss a session, they feel awful.
Yeah.
So they have to be there. Like it just brings them, back together,
Right. And I know for us, that's why, for years, I mean, we do have the education company in photobiomodulation and light energy training seminars.org. And so we're trying to get the word out on photobiomodulation. There's so many benefits. But we also, in my main company, have been using light therapy for 15 years, I think now.
Yeah.
The pad-based system, Inlight system is the one I use. And so this is, I don't know, maybe 13 years ago, my sister had a number of pregnancies and had a few cesareans.
Yeah.
And so she was using the pads every day, every day, every day. And then she decided to put herself on a little program where she was gonna, walk an hour, not a mile, and I think she
Yeah.
started with a mile. And then she was gonna do better with her food. And she just put herself on a little program. Well, it was some months later, not 3 sessions later.
Yeah, everyone's different. Everyone
It
responds
was
different.
a pad-based
Pad-based
system.
system,
It's
right.
not, and that she said, she'd lost some weight and she could see down there now.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But she was also looking in the mirror that her scars were gone. Her sectarian
I
scars.
know that to me is mind blowing.
That's like their photobiomodulation. Why? It's because it's increasing the circulation. So where the scar is, there's a lack of circulation. So
Yeah.
hey, the body is the most brilliant computer ever designed. There'll never be a computer smarter than the human body. I know AI, but still not smarter than the human body. Given the proper information or the proper encouragement, the body will heal itself. And light is some of that information.
Well, I mean, the stuff, obviously I didn't have the light therapy course when I started this.
Right.
And I remember Marcy, there was another business that we did that we worked together on. It was a vaginal rejuvenation wand using red light and blue light. That's how we met.
That's right.
And that's how I met Marcy. And Marcy actually worked with me very closely in that company, getting studies and stuff like
Right.
that. And when I told her about InfraSculpt and the program, she tested me. She grilled me like, okay, well, why do you do that for 15 minutes? Why do you do this? Why do you do that? And I had all the answers for her, and she's like, okay, that's right. How did you come up with that? And I'm like, clients.
Right.
I've worked on so many people, because a lot of people ask me, does this work?
Right.
I get that question so much. And
Right.
I'm like, well, first of all, do you want it to work? There's that.
Amen.
Right?
Okay,
let's go with
start
that.
there.
The brain's very powerful.
Right.
And then it's like, well, yeah, how do you know? Well, yeah, science, but also personal experience. I've seen it. I've just
Right.
seen it. So many, at one stage when I had California Body Sculpt, I had 2 locations in San Diego, big operations, but I had almost 200 5-star reviews. Just clients were really, really happy. And that speaks volumes. That's it.
And then why did you end up closing those big locations?
I think in business in general, especially, I was in my mid to late 30s. I had 2 young kids, and it's hard. Business is
Right.
hard. And so there was, we didn't really understand what light therapy wasn't as popular as it is
Right.
now.
Right.
So I was peddling something way before my time.
Right.
Right. And so having to educate people, which is exactly why I sought you out,
Right.
having to educate people was my hardest job.
Got it.
And so I was bringing people in the door, I was getting results, clients were happy, but then you have the business side of things, like having to make it work. And do you have the right pricing? And do you have all of that?
Right.
And just ran into some unfortunate things. So I closed those down, and I reopened in a smaller kind of setting, less overhead, less stress, and I was still very successful. So I kept going. And then it's actually my lawyer, who's also my friend. And he had said, why don't you license this program? And because when I originally started this business, I built it to grow. Like I
Right.
designed every part of this business to scale. And
Right.
so I was like, well, really? Like, is someone gonna want to do this idea? I was like, I love it. And then within 3 weeks, because we love energy and how that works, I
Good.
had a client who asked me that said that they wanted to open one.
Well,
And
I
so
love
that
how that all works, how
Yeah.
energy works. You even have the thought and then something happens, or you put it out there in the universe and
Bingo.
something comes back. And then pandemic happened.
Yeah. So obviously we actually could have stayed open because we were considered weight loss, which was a medical necessity.
Yeah.
But I had 2 school-age children,
Right.
1 kindergarten. So
Yeah.
there was no way I was staying open. And then, but that first location licensee stayed open and grew exponentially that year during the pandemic. Then the end of 2021, I reopened my store. I had already met you. We had already, and we had already talked about, licensing and doing
Right.
all of that. And now we're working on our 10th location. So
Yeah, and so for me, the reason I went ahead and got the setup was because I felt like, well, 2 reasons. Selfishly, I wanted it for myself, and I have to try everything on me and my family. So we're the guinea pigs. But I needed to understand what made this different than just the pad-based system that we were using.
Right.
And I didn't have enough of an understanding. I needed to get in there if I'm going, because at the time I was thinking we were going to need to write for our educational program a separate module for you for this. As it turns out, our light energy training seminars, level 1 of the light therapy course is appropriate and it works. And I know you want to record another module specific to this. I think that's a great idea.
Yes.
And we'll get around to that
Yeah.
this year.
2025.
Right. But yeah, so that was it for me, is that I really wanted to understand what was different. And what I found out was what a good marriage, what we were already doing was with this. And then, one thing's led to another. And there's stores in Colorado. Oh, so I was the first one in Colorado, in Boulder, but now we have how many in Colorado?
There's 5 of you
in Colorado. And guess what, folks?
We are.
They were all my clients.
That's true.
And
same with
that's
San
really
Diego.
cool. Same with San Diego.
Yeah, all of our locations are clients except for Austin and Reno. They
Right.
were people that we knew from
Right.
before. Yeah.
But it was, and why would a client want to open one of these? Because of the difference it made in their lives.
Well, the woman I told you in San Diego she lost 100 pounds in her thighs and she opened a location.
Yeah.
So
if people want to open a location, how do they get in touch with you?
So you can go to infrasculpt.com and we have a licensee page and you can fill out the form there. Or you can email me, info@infrasculpt.com. That's another way to get in contact with us, and we'll get back to you within 24 hours.
And then what if somebody, your client, has a location, wants to open across the street from another licensee? What do you do about that?
So when you buy a licensing deal from us, you get protection for your area. So we have like a radius. No, we work closely with the marketing company, which we do provide marketing for you and everything. It's a business in a box. It really is.
And I think from the story that you just told, and I'm sure you've told me that story in the past, but I didn't really remember the whole thing. But hearing it again, I think that, in the mercy of God, that you have this huge couple of locations, and that's really probably not duplicatable for the common everyday person who wants to open, the salon owner that wants to get to know their clients and all that. So then you had to probably go through will this work in a little tiny location, not a 5,000 square foot place?
Yes.
And so speak to that. I mean, how big of a space does a person?
So personally, I operate in 2 100 square foot suites. So I know, and people are shocked that I have a sauna in there. They're always like, "What is that sauna in there?" But yeah, you don't need a lot of space. You really don't. So it's that's the beauty of this business. I will say the reason why I started to license and I love it is because it's like pebble in the water, right? So I can only treat so many people. Right. And I know it helps people, but to enable let's face it, all of our licensees are women. So, and that is what I stand for, to empower women to own their own business and create their own schedule if they have kids or whatever. I think it's really, really important. And they're able now I'm able to empower them to then in turn help more people. So that's the main reason that we do this. And, we had a meeting yesterday, obviously, and we're such a great group. We don't just fly alone. We all help each other. It's an amazing community to be a part of. But the biggest thing is, if you want to own a business where you're going to have like this, you're going to be a millionaire and it's this big ROI and blah, 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 your numbers, then this is not for you. This is a business of passion. This is a business of, you're helping people and it's fulfilling. Right. And yes, you can make a great living off of it. But it has to be something that you want. Like that's what you want to do with your life.
And why did you decide on licensing versus making a franchise?
Because a lot of people in wellness have their own healing modalities. For example, like
Right.
you're doing other things,
Right.
biofeedback, we have rolfing, massage, there's a lot of things.
That's right.
And when you're a franchise, you'd have to follow my rules. So, and the franchise board is very strict. So the contracts are like this, and you have to have the same color and the same this and the same that. And we're in charge of your marketing, and things start to get exponentially more expensive for the franchisee.
Right. So if you have a McDonald's franchise, you can't sell your grandma's brownies.
Exactly. So,
But if you have an Infrasculpt salon and you're a massage therapist and you sell essential oils, for example, I'll
right.
just say that, then you could sell
You
them
can,
there.
exactly. And it's more of an opt-in for the licensee. So there's a lot of ownership because you want to have pride. Yes, I created this idea, but you're the driver of the vehicle.
Right.
It's your store, and
Right.
I'm just here. Like I created this awesome little, shell of a business that's great. And I've thought of all the details, and here now you guys do some stuff with it. And that there's a sense of pride in that ownership, right?
So when we circle back around from where we started the conversation, then we get into things like one thing led to another, and now you're help someone with Alzheimer's regain the quality of their life by just knowing about photobiomodulation
Modulation.
being used on the head, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's what feeds your soul. I know that.
Oh, yeah.
Because you've seen so many miracles, as well as the other licensees. So
Yes.
Bree came in town to have a meeting with the licensees in Colorado. And so we got to hear lots of stories about, things that they're encountering and the help that people are getting. I know some of my most fun things when people are asking me about the salon is that when someone will say, and this has happened a lot. Oh, well, one of the benefits I got is I don't want to strangle my husband anymore. Or I have energy to actually cook dinner now.
We save relationships. Infrasculpt.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more than just emptying fat cells.
Right. It's so much more than just emptying fat cells. Right. Okay, so anything that you'd like to say in closing? What's your big vision? Like,
Oh gosh,
you
I'm a
know,
big dreamer.
yes. So yeah, tell us here's your chance. Tell
Yeah.
the listening audience, because we know the rule is when we have two or more in alignment, there's power there, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And so tell us what your vision is.
So my vision is so let me say I have this little jar that one of my best friends brought me back from Hawaii, and it's to put sort of your wish of what you want, right? And I'd put a wish in there 2 years ago, and it recently came true. So I was like, oh, okay, well, this is very powerful. So then recently then I put a new wish in there, and it was to help millions of women through light therapy. And so that is not to say that we can't help men. I'm also, yeah, of course. Well, and men are a huge part of helping women.
Yeah.
Because we need everyone on board to understand. Women are very complex. I'm also doing menopause coaching, and I'm recently certified in Reiki because I want the whole picture. Right. And in order to make a big difference, obviously these kinds of things, podcasts, getting the word out there, so many people are misinformed about light therapy. So this is all us getting everything out there.
Yeah.
Right. But as far as the big picture, to just have so many locations where not only am I helping women from a financial perspective own their own business, right? Start their own business and become financially stable, right? I'm also in turn, then they're helping clients.
Right.
So, I mean, God, just think about the web of that is amazing to me. And globally, I would like to do it globally.
Right. And because some of what we're exposing people to with photobiomodulation, and it's not just red and infrared, but blue and green wavelengths that we use even in the clinics.
Yeah.
But that it is available. We can, you know, through this work, help them get equipment that they can use at home,
Exactly.
or at least help educate them on the equipment that they already have. This is what happens a lot with us with our educational program and company, is that, you know, people buy equipment and they don't even know what to do with
Or
it. They
how to
don't know
use it.
how to explain it and whatever. And then somebody in their family tells that's woo woo and there's no science behind it. And you know, there's no science. If there was science, hello, have you heard of PubMed.gov? Y'all can go on over there.
Well, you're going to make it easier for them to
Yes,
find
we are.
those.
We are making it easier where you can even just go to our letseducation.org. That's one way to get to the website, or light energy training seminars.org is a longer way to get to the same place. But what we've done now is that not only can you access our podcasts from there, it's our educational page. It has the 18 Let's instructors that we've graduated, you know, just on the banner, you see us. But it's a resource page. It's not a page for selling light therapy equipment or anything. It is an educational page, and we're starting to post a lot more of the research links there. And also, if you listen to episode 11, season 1, with Marcy and Colleen, circling back, you know, the Alzheimer's patient, and there were 3 things that they used in her intervention, and that was the photobiomodulation helmet on there, listening to 40 hertz music, and having the blinking 40 hertz going through the visual cortex there through the eyes. And she does it twice a day, and y'all just have to go listen to that episode.
The education.
So we're putting more and more, trying to make it easier to find the science, so that when you finally land in photobiomodulation world and somebody makes fun of you, you can just jump over there and find, you know, get some hardcore science for those people that need it.
And I will say, you know, I can't speak to other clinics doing this. A lot of times licensees, especially when they're first going to sign on, the main thing they ask me is they start sending me other people in their area, competition, right? And I'm like, okay, first of all, stay in your lane, you know, you're your own unique self in your own business. But we are, because of your program, because of the education stuff, we're certified light therapists, and that's what we do, right? And so make sure that it, you know, if you're going to try light therapy, because they're especially with bars and just the power of them, you know, you do have to know what you're doing, because you can burn somebody. There's energy levels. And if someone has a tumor, it can grow that tumor. So we don't want to increase blood flow to that. I mean, there's certain things, you know, photosensitive medication. I mean, you have to be with someone that knows what they're doing. And it's, you know, I know we don't have to be doctors, and it's a lower class laser, so we're not invasive, and that's great, but you can't go to your local hairdresser and have some bars put on you. That's just not, there's so much more to it.
You can use pads, and there's plenty out there in the world, and of course we have our favorites and all of that, but I think in any field you want to go to someone who has education in the field. So, and if for no other reason, for that confidence level of your practitioner knowing what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. And so that, so all of it, but you know, we're for anything that helps a person have a better life.
Exactly.
And there's billions of people on the planet that need photobiomodulation. They're not all going to find InfraSculpt. They're not all going to find my little clinic in Boulder. They're not all going to find our educational program, but the world needs light, and we love it when they can find us.
Love it.
But, you know, get out there and light yourself up. Get lit.
Get lit. And we're more wellness, that's what I'm also gearing myself towards. As I evolve this business, yes, the program will stay the same, but the information and the treatments that we're going to give are going to be a little bit broader. Currently, I'm going to be brishataylor.com, where you can find me as well. And it's going to be, I'm going to have a podcast as well called Women of Wellness. And this is a huge part of it, but I'm starting to see, because I've seen so many people, I want to get even more granular with these people, especially with perimenopause, menopause, and postmenopause. That's a passion of mine as well.
That's awesome. Okay.
All right.
Well, let's keep it light.
Yeah. I think the light's shining on me.
Yeah, the light is definitely shining. I think bouncing off your water.
Oh, mid. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Ginger Bowler has a doctorate in energy medicine and is a certified light therapy instructor, biofeedback instructor, and co-founder of the Light Energy Training Seminars certification program. You can send us an email with your questions and comments to podcast@letskeepitlight.com, and be sure to visit us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And remember, let's keep it light.